It's Roger once again, Mudfossil University, and I get a lot of requests asking if I know about Eric P. Dollard. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it, but I do know of him, and I believe I've tried to contact him. I think I did, but I can't be positive of that. Now, he has theories on electromagnetic discharge and this and that, and the boundary conditions of electromagnetic influence and things like that. And I watch him. He's got some pretty good stuff. Now, I'm not 100% with what he's saying, but I do want to show what he does show here, and then we'll go and I'll show a statement about one of the things I thought was a brilliant way to start a video. Now,
even though it had a partial vacuum inside, because the force of creation was trying to literally escape from the bulb. And sometimes these entities would just float there in between the two transformers without any bulb at all, maintain its own vacuous boundary.
All right, now he's doing experiments and he's seeing these little plasma balls, and he was hoping that this would lead to plasma. Well, I'm hoping the same thing for my experiments, but listen.
I thought that was going to make me the world's most famous person. This plasma containment on such a simple level, and I just got the door slammed right in my face, and that was the end of that, and everything went.
Well, I understand how he feels about that, because that is exactly what happens to anybody that has the audacity to speak up and to present things. And I created plasma with Rodney Warren from Blizzard's Accelerator. It's not hard to do. And they need to look at this realistically instead of just looking for the funding to create these gigantic machines. Now, this is another thing. Eric Dollard here did this origin of energy synthesis. Now, this I watched a very short, just barely got into it. But the first part is what I want you to see, because this is what really makes sense. This is not what he said, but it was what somebody else said. Now, here it goes. And this is Eric P. Dollard, and it's a presentation he did for some organization.
Okay, so we're going to start off with a quotation by Heaviside here. Heaviside had an interesting way of starting off his chapters in electrical engineering by telling little stories. So here we have a story. The following story is true. There was a little boy, and his father said, "Do try to be like other people. Don't frown." And he tried and tried, but could not. So his father beat him with a strap, and then he was eaten by the lions. Reader, if young, take warning. By his sad life and death, for though it may be an honor to be different from other people, if Carlyle's dictum about the 30 million still be true, yet other people do not like it. So if you are different, you had better hide it and pretend to be solemn and wooden-headed until you make your fortune. For most wood-headed people worship money, and really I do not see what else they can do. If particularly you are going to write a book, remember to be wooden-headed. So be rigorous, that will cover a multitude of sins, and do not frown. There is a time for all things, for shouting, for gentle speaking, for silence, for washing of pots and pans, and the writing of books. Now let the pots and pans go black, and let's set to work. It's hard to make a beginning, but now it must be done. So this is where we begin, with the advice of Hall of Heaviside. So we go right back to the origins of science.
That's what we have to do, is go back to the origins of science, because they were misinterpreted by Einstein and the like. Light is a particle. It can be accelerated. It's energy and matter in space traveling to Earth from all luminous bodies. The ether, which is these particles, fills the entire universe. Some places more dense than others, yes, but they are ubiquitous throughout the universe. Anywhere there's light, there is particles. That means as we are ripped through the galaxy of the Milky Way, we are scrubbing through these particles, and that will influence the effect of our weather, because it creates a resistance against our planets and sun and so forth. And because it is a negative medium, our Earth and sun and everything there is coated with negative electrons. All atoms are completely coated with negatives. So our negative mass is crushing through this negative medium, causing heat, resistance, and electrical fields. That's the source of the magnetic fields. That's the resource of our repulsion into these fields of negative particles coming at our group of negative coded particles. And there's an interaction. And if we hit a serious density of these particles, which is possible, it will create more and more heat. And it does appear that the solar system is reacting that way right now. And because nobody's ever even thought about these particles or even considers them existing, we are oblivious to these facts. And blaming everything on carbon dioxide. Now that's a disaster, there's no question whatsoever. But is it everything? I don't think so. I think we need to look at why Venus is so hot. Of course it spins backwards, and that makes it scrub twice as bad, many, many times as worse. And all the planets seem to be scrubbing through something that's heating them up. And all of the experiments that I'm showing with accelerated light and the concussed particles that are the ether, and the fact that the sun's corona, the outside way out limit where it reaches the vacuum of space, is millions of degrees, and the surface is only 6,000, is because it's scrubbing through the universe, through the galaxy, and it's heating to millions of degrees the outside temperature, the outside corona, and that is causing the inside temperature to be extreme. And because it's negative, again to negative, there's enormous amounts of solar flares and these field flux lines flowing all up and shooting out and so forth. And because of all of this major interaction of activity, a magnetic interaction, it throws out extra electrons. The electrons that it is consuming from other particles that have been thrown out from everywhere else, it's bouncing them off and it's throwing them off and it's generating its own, and they're reaching escape velocity because of this intense, incredible temperature that it's scrubbing through the galaxy. And that is what throws these particles off and creates our light and heat and in our magnetic field. Right? So that's the key. And I have looked into his work. I'm not 100% with him, that but I agree. He's got a lot to say, and I'll look a little deeper. But he's got more to say than anybody that's in the academic arena. I'm telling you that right now. They missed everything, and they don't want to see it. They don't want to see it. They are invested in their theories, and nothing will dissuade them. And that is called delusion. And that means, the internal emotional chemical system of the body treats these kind of assaults, which this is an assault that I am sending out against their belief system. It's taken as an assault. It's taken as a physical assault. And the body trembles. Heart rate increases. All kinds of things happen. It's an emotional response that's physical, related to literally a threat. And a mind that is so heavily invested in something becomes weak at the thought of a challenge. And that's the problem. There are people that are, I don't mean to belittle anybody or demean anybody, but really it's a sign of weakness to take everything as an assault. Information is not an assault. Not by any means whatsoever. It's not an assault. And that's the problem. It's been taken as an assault. It's not an assault. It's a search for truth.